The walls we build to protect ourselves often become the very prisons that keep love away. My friends, let's be real. People don't love easily. They might smile, they might laugh with you, they might even say the words "I love you." But unless you break past those invisible walls they've built around their hearts, what you're getting isn't the full version of love. It's like sipping watered-down coffee. Sure, it's still coffee, but it doesn't wake you up. So before we dive deeper, do me a favor, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and stay with me till the end, because what I'm about to share is going to make you see relationships in a whole new light. Hey folks, imagine this. You're standing outside a huge castle. The drawbridge is up, the walls are tall, and the person inside waves at you from the window. They smile, they act friendly, maybe they even toss you a flower. But are you inside the castle with them? No, you're still standing in the cold. And here's the truth. Most people walk around in life like that castle. They let you see them from a distance, but they won't let you in until something breaks those walls. Now, don't get me wrong, walls aren't always bad. Walls are built to protect. Someone got hurt in the past, so they built a wall. Someone trusted the wrong person, so they built another wall. Someone was abandoned, lied to, betrayed. They add even more bricks. Before you know it, they're surrounded by a fortress, and you're left wondering why no matter what you do, you can't get through. Here's the lie society tells us. If someone loves you, they'll just give you their heart. That's not true, my friends. Love doesn't work like that. People hand you a mask before they hand you their soul. They'll test you, they'll resist, and sometimes they'll even push you away, because deep down, they're terrified of what real intimacy feels like. Think about it this way. If you plant a seed in the soil but never break the surface, it'll never see the sunlight. And people's love is like that seed. Until the soil is cracked open, until those walls are broken, you'll never see the flower. You'll just see dirt. Now here's where Stoicism hits differently. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." My friends, people might not say it, but their walls are their truth. And your role is not to smash those walls down with force. That only makes them build higher. Your role is to stand firm, to live with such authenticity, confidence, and calm power that their walls start to crumble on their own. Because walls can't stand forever against truth. And yes, I know what some of you are thinking, but breaking walls sounds hard. It takes too much patience, too much energy. You're right, it does. But here's the thing. The greatest love, the most unforgettable bond, always comes after walls are broken. Shallow love is easy, but it fades. Deep love requires effort, but it stays. So let me remind you, don't settle for standing outside someone's castle waving from the cold. Don't sip the watered-down coffee. Don't just admire the flower without helping it bloom. Step into the truth. Be strong enough, patient enough, wise enough to see beyond the walls people put up. Because once you're inside, once the walls fall, that's when you'll feel what love truly is. And before we move forward, I want you to type this in the comments as your affirmation today. I break walls with truth. Write it down. Claim it. That's your power. And if you're ready for more, stay with me, because this is only the beginning. Press the like button, subscribe, and let's go deeper together. Number 1. They hide behind their walls because fear feels safer than love. Love is not what people fear losing. What they really fear is being seen for who they truly are. Think about that for a second, my friends. It's not love itself they're afraid of. It's exposure. It's the thought that if you really saw the cracks in their soul, you'd walk away. So instead of giving you their heart, they build walls and they hide. Picture this. You're walking through a haunted house. Every door creaks, every shadow moves, and every corner feels like something might jump at you. That's what love feels like to them. To you, love is a warm fire, a safe embrace. To them, it's the haunted house they'd rather avoid. And the irony is, they built that haunted house themselves. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every rejection, every time someone laughed at their vulnerability, they nailed another board over the window, they shut another door, they locked another gate. Now here's the part that stings. You might think, if they love me, won't they just open the door? No, my friend, it doesn't work that way. They won't. Because fear whispers louder than love in most people's ears. Fear says, don't open the door, they'll hurt you too. Fear says, don't trust, they'll leave like the last one did. Fear says, if they see the real you, they won't stay. And so they keep the mask on, they keep the smile polished, the laugh rehearsed, the conversations light. But deep down, they're just hoping you don't knock too hard on the walls. Marcus Aurelius once said, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And that's exactly what happens here. It's not you that scares them. It's what their mind tells them about you. You might come with pure intentions, but their mind has already painted you as the next betrayal. And that's why it feels impossible sometimes. Now let's break the lie. The world tells us, if they're the right one, it'll be easy. No, it won't. Love isn't easy. Love is war. Not war against each other, but war against fear, war against lies, war against the old wounds whispering in their ears. Easy love is fragile. Real love takes effort. And that effort begins with understanding that those walls aren't about you. They're about their fear. But here's where most people fail. They get frustrated, they knock once, the door doesn't open, and they walk away. They don't realize that sometimes the walls are not to be kicked down, but to be dissolved slowly by presence, truth, and consistency. And that's what Stoicism teaches us: patience, strength, resilience in the face of resistance. Let me ask you this. How many times have you seen someone run when the second thing gets tough? How many times have you seen people claim they want deep love, but leave when they realize it won't happen overnight? That's the trap. Everyone wants to feel loved, but few are willing to break through fear to get there. And I'll be honest, my friends, this is going to be hard, because the person you care about has convinced themselves that hiding is safer than being loved. They'd rather be lonely in their fortress than risk rejection in the open field. And maybe deep down you felt the same way too. How many times have you held back your truth? How many times have you smiled when you wanted to cry, stayed silent when you wanted to speak, pulled back when you wanted to lean in? We all build walls. But here's the turning point. Walls keep danger out, yes, but they also keep love out. You can't have both safety and intimacy. You have to choose. And sooner or later, they'll realize that their walls might be keeping heartbreak away, but they're also keeping you away. And that realization is the crack. That's where light enters. Think of it like this. A pearl is only formed because the oyster allowed an irritation inside. Without opening up, the oyster would never create beauty. And people are the same. Until they let someone in, yes, even if it hurts, there will be no pearl, no depth, no true love. But here's the beauty, my friends. The stronger your presence, the calmer your spirit, the more authentic you stand, the more those walls start to look pointless. Why? Because truth doesn't force. Truth doesn't panic. Truth simply is. And the walls, no matter how thick, cannot outlast what is real. So don't be fooled when they act distant, when they test you, when they pretend not to care. Don't fall for the mask. That mask is fear. That distance is protection. And if you let your ego respond with anger, if you take it personally, you've already lost. Instead, rise above it. See it for what it is. See them not as rejecting you, but as protecting themselves. That shift in perspective will change how you show up. And here's the motivational truth. The very walls that scare you are also the walls that, once broken, create the deepest love you'll ever know. Because someone who loves you after their fear is gone loves you with everything. No masks, no pretending, just pure truth. And that's worth every ounce of patience, every test, every silent battle against fear. So today, let this be your affirmation. I rise above fear. Write it in the comments, my friends. Show them, show yourself, and show the world around you that you are not here to be stopped by walls. You are here to shine with such truth and presence that walls crumble on their own. And stay with me, because next, we're going to dive even deeper into how these walls actually trap them more than they protect them, and that is where the real power begins. Number 3, they test you. Because fear wants proof before it trusts. People don't test you to see if you're perfect, they test you to see if you're real. My friends, this is where things start to get tricky. When someone has walls, they rarely open the gates without first checking if you're safe. And how do they check? They test you. They pull back when you lean in. They go silent when you expect a response. They question your intentions when you've been nothing but clear, and you might sit there thinking, why are they making this so hard? Don't they see I care? Let me paint you a picture. Imagine a wounded animal hiding in the forest. You extend your hand with food. Do they rush toward you? No. They wait. They watch. They may even growl to scare you off. Not because they hate you, but because they've learned not to trust too quickly. That's exactly what people do when fear drives them. Their tests are their growls, their silence is their hiding, their suspicion is their shield. Now here's where most people mess up. They take these tests as rejection. They think, if they really cared, they wouldn't push me away. But the truth is the opposite. The pushing away is the proof they do care, at least enough to measure if you are worth risking their walls for. Seneca once wrote, "Fire is the test of gold, adversity is the test of strong men, and in relationships, tests are the fire." They're not trying to destroy you, they're trying to see if your character melts or endures. They're asking without words, will you run when it gets difficult? Will you fight me when I push back? Or will you remain steady, calm, and real? And let's be honest, it can feel exhausting, it can feel unfair, because you know your heart is pure, and still they doubt. You know your intentions are good, and still they question. But my friends, remember this. Their tests are not about you. Their tests are about fear, and fear doesn't surrender without evidence. Think of it like this. A bridge that's been damaged doesn't carry weight until it's repaired, and before anyone trusts it, they'll stomp, shake, and test it to see if it holds. People's hearts are the same. They've carried too much weight before and they broke. So now, before they walk across again, they will test. They must. But here's the lie society feeds us. If they test you, walk away. Don't prove yourself to anyone. That's half true. You should never chase validation. You should never beg for trust. But there's a difference between begging and being consistent. There's a difference between lowering your worth and simply standing in your truth long enough for their fear to see you're real. So don't let the tests scare you off. Don't let their walls trick you into reacting with ego, anger, impatience, or retreat. That only proves their fear right. Instead, stay steady. Show, don't shout. Be calm, not chaotic. Because walls don't fall to drama, they fall to truth lived out again and again. Now, I'm not saying you should tolerate endless games. No, my friends, games and tests are not the same thing. A game manipulates, a test reveals. Learn the difference. If they're testing because they fear, there's hope. If they're playing games to control, you walk away. That's Stoic strength, knowing when to stand and when to leave. And here's the motivational truth. Once you endure the fire of their tests, once their fear sees you didn't break, you become unforgettable. Because most people fail, most people run, but if you remain calm, real, and unwavering, you'll be the one they remember when the walls finally fall. So let's lock in today's affirmation. I remain steady through tests. Write it in the comments, my friends. Show them, show yourself, and show the world that you are not shaken by fear. You are not driven by ego. You are steady, you are real, you are strong. And stay with me, because next, we're going to uncover the biggest reason their walls hurt them the most. The loneliness that eats them from the inside. That part will hit even harder. Number 4, they lose attraction. When you chase their walls instead of standing still. The more you chase what runs, the faster it learns to run. My friends, this one will sting a little. Because many of us, when we see those walls, when we feel that distance, we panic. We think, if I just try harder, if I just prove myself more, if I give them more love, they'll finally open up. And so we chase. But here's the paradox. The more you chase, the stronger their walls grow. Picture this. Imagine a child clutching a toy, not wanting to let it go. The more you reach for it, the tighter they squeeze. Not because they really need the toy, but because your reaching activates their instinct to hold on. The same thing happens with emotional walls. The harder you try to break them down, the more convinced they become that they need to protect themselves. Now you might be asking yourself, but if I don't chase, won't they think I don't care? Won't they drift further away? That's the fear speaking. That's the voice that tricks you into becoming desperate, into overgiving, into proving. But here's the lie. Love doesn't grow from force. It grows from freedom. The moment they feel you're trying to force your way in, they'll see you as another threat, not as a safe presence. Marcus Aurelius said, "He who lives in harmony with himself lives in harmony with the universe." Harmony is the key. When you're calm, when you're grounded, when you don't beg or chase, you're in harmony. You're showing that their walls don't control your center. And that steadiness is what makes them slowly lower the gate. Think of water and fire. If you blow on fire, it rages higher. If you let it be, it eventually burns down on its own. When you chase their resistance, you fuel it. When you stay still, calm, present, it burns itself out. That is the Stoic way, not reaction, not panic, but presence. The danger of chasing is this. You start bending yourself out of shape. You stop being you, and you start being who you think they want you to be. And when that happens, two things are guaranteed. You lose your authenticity, and they lose attraction. Why? Because attraction doesn't live in desperation. It lives in polarity, in tension, in the quiet strength of someone who does not need to force. Let me ask you, how many times have you seen someone run after love only to end up empty-handed? How many times have you been that person, sending the texts, begging for the chance, trying to prove you're good enough? Did it work, or did it push them further away? You already know the answer. Here's the truth no one tells you. Standing still often feels harder than chasing. Chasing feels active, like you're doing something. Stillness feels like doing nothing. But stillness is power. Stillness is the quiet confidence that says, I am here, I am steady, I will not break myself against your walls. And eventually they feel that, they notice it, and slowly their fear begins to relax. So don't believe the lie that you must always do more. Sometimes the strongest move is no move. Sometimes the greatest proof of care is your ability to remain calm while their storm rages. And when they finally realize you didn't chase, you didn't break, you didn't force, you just stood, respect grows. And from respect, attraction is born. So let's seal this with today's affirmation. I stand still, I stay strong. Write it in the comments, my friends. Show them, show yourself, show the world around you that you will never chase walls. You will let them fall on their own. And stay with me, because next we'll uncover the secret that flips everything, the way silence itself becomes the tool that breaks down barriers faster than words ever could. Number 5. They don't realize silence breaks walls faster than words. Sometimes the loudest thing you can say is nothing at all. Think about that for a moment, my friends. We live in a world obsessed with noise, constant talking, endless explanations, desperate arguments. People think if they just say the right thing, if they just explain enough, the walls will crumble. But the truth is, words often bounce off walls like stones hitting steel. Silence, on the other hand, seeps through the cracks. Imagine rain dripping slowly on stone. At first, the stone seems unshaken, but day after day, drop after drop, the surface begins to wear down. That's the power of silence. It doesn't fight the wall, it erodes it with patience. Now, here's the fear that might be running through your mind. If I stay silent, won't they forget me? Won't they think I don't care? That fear is what traps most people in endless chasing. They talk, they plead, they repeat the same words, hoping this time it will land, but the more they push, the thicker the walls grow. Silence, though uncomfortable, carries a weight that words cannot. Epictetus once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." And sometimes listening doesn't even mean responding, it means letting the space breathe. It means showing strength by not scrambling to fill the silence. Because silence proves something words can't, that you are not desperate. Think of it this way: if someone is yelling at a wall, the wall doesn't fall. It stands taller. But if that same wall is met with calm silence, eventually the builder begins to question why it's even there. Silence flips the script. It shifts the weight from you chasing them to them confronting themselves. Here's the lie society told us: if you love someone, you must never stop talking, never stop reassuring, never stop proving. Wrong. Constant talking is not proof of love, it's proof of fear. The one who can sit in silence without losing themselves is the one who holds true power. Because walls are not broken by begging, they're broken when the person inside feels the absence of your noise and starts to miss your presence. Now let me ask you, how many times have you seen someone chase so hard, talk so much, explain so endlessly, only to be ignored? And how many times have you seen the opposite? Someone went silent, pulled back, and suddenly the other person leaned forward. That's not magic. That's psychology. Scarcity creates value, silence creates space, and space makes them realize what they stand to lose. But let's be honest, it's not easy. Silence is uncomfortable. It makes your fears scream louder in your head. What if they never come back? What if my silence pushes them further away? But that's exactly where Stoic discipline comes in. The discipline to remain calm even when your emotions demand reaction. The strength to hold your frame when everything in you wants to break it. Silence doesn't mean coldness. It doesn't mean cruelty. It means confidence. It means you're not chasing validation. It means you've chosen to let your presence do the speaking. And when they finally realize you didn't beg, didn't plead, didn't crumble, they see you differently, they respect you, and respect is the soil where real attraction grows. So remember this, my friends: words may explain, but silence transforms. Words may knock, but silence unlocks. When you master the art of saying nothing at the right time, you give them the one thing walls can't withstand: space to reflect. And in that reflection, many will realize your silence is not absence, it's power. So let's mark this moment with today's affirmation. My silence is strength. Write it in the comments. Show them, show yourself, and show the world around you that you will never be afraid of silence again. You will use it as your weapon, your shield, your secret tool for breaking walls without force. And stay with me, because what comes next will show you why discomfort, the sting of pain itself, isn't something to avoid in love, but the very fuel that keeps desire alive. That's where things start to burn hotter. Number 6, they don't know pain is the doorway to real desire. What comes easy is enjoyed for a moment. What costs something is cherished for a lifetime. My friends, here's where the truth hits hard. People don't crave what comes without effort. They might enjoy it, yes. They might smile, laugh, and even say they love you. But deep down, if there's no struggle, no challenge, no sting, their heart won't hold on to it. Because real desire isn't born in comfort, it's born in tension. Think about it. The meal you remember most in your life wasn't the one handed to you for free. It was the one you worked for, the one you paid for with sweat, the one that came after hunger. The sweetest victories in your life were never the easy ones. They were the ones you almost lost, the ones you had to fight for, the ones that scared you. That's because pain, fear, and uncertainty sharpen value in the human mind. Now, imagine love with no resistance, no boundaries, no tests. It feels safe, yes, but safety without risk is boredom. Comfort without challenge is flatness. When everything is predictable, when every answer is yes, when every request is granted, desire dies, because desire feeds on tension. Desire is the spark that happens when you're not sure you can have what you want. Here's the lie most men believe. If I never upset them, if I always give, if I keep them happy all the time, they'll love me more. No, that doesn't create love, that creates entitlement, and entitlement kills attraction faster than anything else. What actually creates love is contrast, the sting of not always getting their way, the reminder that your attention, your affection, your yes has value. Seneca said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body," and that applies here. The small pains, the little disagreements, the firm no when they expect you to fold, those are not moments of cruelty, they're moments of proof. Proof that you have a backbone, proof that you're not swayed by every mood, proof that your love is not weakness. Let me give you a metaphor. Gold is precious not because it's shiny, it's precious because it's rare. If gold were lying around in every street corner, no one would treasure it. They'd step over it like dirt. And your approval, your attention, your love, it works the same way. If it's unlimited, if it costs nothing, it holds no weight. But when it's selective, when it's rare, when it comes with standards, suddenly it becomes priceless. Now you might be asking yourself, but won't saying no, won't allowing that sting, won't creating discomfort push them away? At first, maybe, they might pout, argue, or get frustrated, but deep down, something else happens. They feel safe, because if you can stand firm with them, you can stand firm against the world. If you can say no to them, you can say no to danger. And that, my friends, is when their respect and desire start to grow. But let's be real, it isn't easy. Most men avoid this because they fear the short-term conflict. They'd rather sacrifice respect than risk a sigh or an argument. They think, at least this way, she won't leave. But that's the trap. Because the moment you give up your backbone to keep the peace, the relationship is already dying. Not because she left, but because her respect did. The Stoic way is harder, but stronger. It means facing the sting without fear. It means knowing that short-term pain is the price of long-term desire. It means holding your line, not to dominate, not to punish, but to stay true to yourself. And when you do that, you don't just keep attraction alive, you deepen it. Because now she doesn't just like you, she respects you, and respect is the soil where love grows roots that last. So let's make today's affirmation clear and powerful. I embrace the sting of truth. Write it in the comments. Show them, show yourself, and show the world around you that you are not afraid of discomfort. You are not afraid of short-term pain. You choose truth, strength, and standards over shallow peace. And stay with me, because in the next part, we'll go deeper into the ultimate transformation, how becoming unshakable, calm, and detached turns you from the one who chases love into the one who is the prize. That's when everything changes. Number 7, they only respect the one who can walk away. The man who cannot walk away owns nothing. The man who can owns everything. My friends, here's a truth most men never want to face. The moment your happiness depends entirely on someone else, you've already surrendered your power. The one who cannot leave becomes the one who gets controlled, and this is why detachment is not coldness, it is strength. Imagine a dog chasing a car. The car doesn't notice, it doesn't slow down, it doesn't care. The harder the dog chases, the more ridiculous it looks. That's what dependency feels like in relationships. When you're the one doing all the chasing, all the proving, all the clinging, you're no longer a man with value. You've become the one begging for scraps of attention, and nothing kills respect faster. Now you might ask yourself, but if I love deeply, isn't it natural to depend on them? That's the lie society has sold you, that love means losing yourself, that devotion means erasing your boundaries, that loyalty means being willing to tolerate anything. But true love is not slavery. True love is two whole people choosing each other freely, not one broken person clinging for dear life. Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." Apply that to love. Your wealth is not in how many smiles, kisses, or reassurances they give you. Your wealth is in needing less, in knowing your life moves forward with or without them. That's detachment, that's freedom. But let's be honest, it's difficult, because when you care for someone, your fear screams, if I don't fight for them, I'll lose them. If I don't hold tighter, they'll slip away. And so, out of fear, you grip harder, you text more, you compromise more, you say yes when you want to say no, you silence your truth just to keep them. But here's the paradox. The tighter you grip, the faster respect slips away. Think of sand in your hand. Hold it gently and it stays. Squeeze too hard and it spills out through your fingers. People are the same. The moment they sense you're terrified of losing them, the value of your presence drops. They know they can push, demand, test, and you'll still stay. And scarcity, my friends, is what makes anything valuable. Unlimited availability has no worth. Here's the lie you must destroy. If I give everything, they'll finally see my value. Wrong. They see your value when you can withhold, when you can say no, when you can walk away without anger, without begging, without drama. That's when they realize they don't own you, they can't control you, and that makes you unforgettable. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you're cold or heartless. It means you care by choice, not by need. It means you love them, but you don't need them to breathe. It means you can stand tall whether they stay or leave. And ironically, that's exactly what makes them want to stay, because the man who doesn't need them becomes the man they need. Now ask yourself, how many times have you lost yourself in someone else's approval? How many times have you twisted your life just to keep another person happy, only to watch them leave anyway? That's because dependency never creates loyalty. It creates contempt. Respect is born from strength, not from sacrifice without limits. The Stoic man doesn't cling, he doesn't beg, he doesn't live in fear of abandonment. He lives in truth, in discipline, in the calm confidence that his worth is not tied to anyone else's choice. And when someone feels that energy in you, when they sense that you could walk away and still thrive, they don't just respect you, they fight to keep you. So today's affirmation is simple but powerful. I can walk away. Write it in the comments. Show them, show yourself, and show the world that your strength is not in holding tighter, but in letting go when your boundaries are crossed. That's how you turn from the man who begs to the man who is the prize. And stay with me, because in the next part, we'll flip the entire script. We'll talk about what happens when you stop chasing approval and make them realize you are the one worth winning. That's when the game changes forever. Number 8. They only chase when you become the prize. When you stop running after people, you find out who is willing to run after you. My friends, this is the shift that flips the whole game. Most men live their lives as if love is a trophy they must win. They bend, they compromise, they sacrifice, hoping that one day she'll look at them and say, "You're enough." But here's the hard truth. If you treat her as the prize, she'll treat you as the player, desperate to earn it. Imagine a king leaving his throne, running through the streets, begging for his crown back. Do the people respect him? Do they bow to him? No, they laugh, because power doesn't beg, power doesn't chase. Power sits and others come to it. That's what being the prize means. You stop seeing her as the reward, and you begin to see yourself as the one worth winning. Now you might be thinking, but isn't that arrogant? Won't I lose her if I stop proving myself? No, my friends, arrogance is thinking you're better than her. Being the prize is knowing you're not less. It's knowing your worth is not measured by her moods, her tests, or her attention. It's knowing you bring value just by being who you are, and that anyone who wants a place in your life must rise to meet your standard. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be." Be one. When you live as the prize, you don't announce it, you don't beg for respect, you embody it. You live with discipline, self-control, standards that don't bend. And slowly, the tests she once used to measure you begin to fade, because she realizes you cannot be moved, you cannot be manipulated, and that makes her lean in. Think of scarcity. A diamond is valuable not just because it shines, but because it's rare. Gold is fought for because it's not found everywhere. Now imagine if diamonds grew on every street corner. Would anyone treasure them? Of course not. Your time, your attention, your yes must be rare, because what is rare is treasured. What is unlimited is ignored. Here's the lie most men believe: if I give her everything, she'll finally see my worth. Wrong. They seize your worth when you withhold, when you choose carefully, when you don't give your approval freely, but only when it's earned. That's when she begins to ask herself, am I doing enough to keep him? And that's the shift from you chasing her validation to her chasing yours. But let's be honest, it's not easy to flip this, because fear whispers, if I don't keep giving, she'll leave. If I don't prove myself, I'll lose her. But here's the paradox. When you stop needing her, that's when she starts needing you. When you stop trying to keep her, that's when she starts trying to keep you, because nothing is more attractive than someone who cannot be replaced. And here's the motivation. Becoming the prize doesn't just change your relationship, it changes your entire life. You stop begging for friendships, you stop bending at work, you stop needing approval from the world. You start living by your own rules, your own standards, your own worth. And suddenly, everything you attract is higher quality because you've raised the bar. So let's set the affirmation right now. I am the prize. Write it in the comments. Show them, show yourself, and show the world that you are no longer chasing, no longer begging, no longer waiting to be chosen. You are the one worth winning. And those who see your worth will rise. Those who don't will fall away. And you will be fine either way. Stay with me, because in the final words to come, we'll tie it all together. The tests, the walls, the silence, the sting, the detachment. And I'll show you how once you master this, you'll never beg for love again. You'll be the one they fight to keep. Final words, the rise of the unshakable man. Weak men are forgotten. Strong men are remembered. But unshakable men, they are never replaced. My friends, let's face it, most of the world taught you the wrong way to love. They told you to please. They told you to give until you were empty. They told you to avoid conflict, to keep the peace at all costs, to chase until you finally earned someone's heart. And what did it give you? Broken pieces, disrespect, a love that slipped through your fingers no matter how tightly you tried to hold it. But today, you've seen the truth. The walls they build are not there to destroy you. They are there to test you. They are there to see if you will collapse under pressure or stand firm like the mountain you were meant to be. And here's the hardest lesson of all. No one truly falls in love with the man who bends and breaks to every demand. They fall for the one they cannot move. They crave the one who can love deeply, yet remain free. Imagine a lighthouse in the storm. The waves crash, the thunder roars, the winds scream, but the lighthouse does not move. Ships are drawn to it not because it bends to the sea, but because it never bends at all. That's what you must become in love. Not the ship tossed around, but the lighthouse standing firm. The one who guides, protects, and remains unbroken. And yes, it will be difficult. You will be tested. They will push, they will resist. They will try to see if you are real. In those moments, your fear will rise. Fear will whisper, if I say no, I'll lose them. If I go silent, they'll forget me. If I walk away, I'll end up alone. But that's the lie. The truth is the opposite. The moment you stop fearing loss, you gain respect. The moment you stop chasing, they start chasing you. The moment you walk away from need, you step into power. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's the heart of it. Power is not in controlling others. It's in mastering yourself, your emotions, your patience, your detachment, your standards. When you build this kind of strength, you don't just win in love, you win in life. So let me leave you with this vision. Imagine yourself no longer begging, no longer chasing, no longer silencing your truth just to keep someone near. Imagine standing tall, calm, and free, knowing that whoever stays by your side stays because they choose you, not because you begged them to. That's the man who gets remembered. That's the man who commands respect. That's the man they fight to keep. And now, it's your turn. Don't just hear these words. Live them. Write this in the comments right now. I am unshakable. Say it out loud. Let it echo in your mind. Let it sink into your spirit. Let the world around you feel it. Because this is not just a phrase, it's an identity. From today on, you are not the desperate man. You are not the forgotten man. You are the unshakable man. The man who breaks walls, not with force, but with truth. The man who cannot be controlled. The man who cannot be replaced. And if this message hit you, if it woke something up inside you, then don't leave without sealing it. Press the like button, share this with someone who needs it, and subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. Because the rise of strong men is here, and I promise you, the next words I share will take you even deeper into the mindset that makes people chase you. Stay with me, my friends. The time of weak men is over. The rise begins now.